And we're live!
And alive.
And alive. Welcome to the Crafty Boys, where a bunch of dudes sit around, drink beer, and talk about stuff. And boy, have we got a lot of stuff to talk about today because the west coast of Canada and the US, or at least the Pacific Northwest, basically melted and then set itself on fire. Which is not funny, but it's amusing
It's
in that
true.
sense of, holy crap, what else can go wrong? And also, we should talk about Canada Day, which is tomorrow, and how it's going to be very different this year. So, hi, boys. What beer are we drinking this evening? Let's start on the furthest reaches of the eastern side of the country. Locke, what are you drinking?
All right. Well, before I tell you what I am drinking, let me first
Oh.
tell you what I'm not drinking.
Uh-oh.
What I'm
What are you not drinking? Get
um,
over there.
because I tried a welly on earlier today.
Baked potato?
Raked.
Or raked over. Sorry, raked over.
and
What brewery is that? That's a cool can.
It is a cool.
It's like a butterfly skull kind of deal.
Actually, this can was sufficiently cool that I just had to try this beer because it looks kind of awesome, doesn't it?
It does.
Who makes it?
Sort of Yamantaka. Well, let's see if I can get this light working properly. It's got this whole sort of Yamantaka kind of look to it.
Oh, yeah.
Like some Vajrayana demon from some bardo getting all like psychedelic and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, guys.
And the problem with it is that it's revolting. Normally I like, well, they are sort of like the Canterbury of Ontario. Like they've been doing this for longer than any of the newcomers to the craft brew scene, right? They were a small, almost medium-sized brewery doing interesting things with beer before all of this took off. So I'm sympathetic to it. But this tastes to me where it tasted when I drank it earlier today. You know when you brew really bad beer and so it's sort of like, well, what the fuck are we going to do with this? Screw it. It's spoiled anyway. Let's throw habanero peppers in it. Right?
I think in Florida it's called swamp ape.
The novelty factor is way up here. But all I can tell you is that I dislike this beer immensely. And it wasn't the sort of thing that you could vomit up because it would burn on the way back. So you had to let it sit in your stomach and be angry with you.
Wow.
So don't great brewery otherwise, but don't drink that. What I am in fact drinking is a beer that has the stupidest name of any beer that I think I've ever drunk in my entire life. I bought that beer expecting to like it. I didn't. I bought this beer expecting to hate it. But guess what? I love it. Now here's the problem with it. It's brewed by a company called The Refined Fool. And its name is, can you read that?
Zane
lost his avocado bag.
Bag. Oh, bag.
What?
I don't understand.
It must be an inside joke.
It gets worse and worse. They style it as a brute IPA. What the fuck is a brute IPA? Well, I don't know because brute usually means raw, unrefined. So a raw and unrefined IPA. Well, it's 7.6%. So that's good. I like that. It says this champagne-like IPA is a pale, dry, bubbly delight. What? What the fuck does that mean? Ingredients: water, sugar. Oh, in brackets, malted barley. Huh. Malted wheat. Sugar,
I
malted.
love that discovery. Huh. Who knew?
Like, anyway, it's styles itself foolishly good beer. Well, as much as I hate the label and the name and think that they're wrong when they say that it's a brute IPA, because it's not at all what it tastes like. This is, in fact, a delicious saison. It is an excellent one. Very, very good. I love this drink. But this is a Belgian saison. It's not an IPA, brute or otherwise. So, anyway. But flavor-wise, it's quaffable. Sort of a. It's not overly bold in any respect. Refreshing. The flavor, such as it is good. It's tasty. Why would they imagine that, given that there's wheat in this, that it's an IPA? What? Huh?
I don't know.
Anyway, I don't understand any of that. I don't understand their marketing, but I bought it, and it is excellent beer.
Now, let me ask you something, Locke. Is you said you went into that beer expecting to hate it.
Yeah.
And the other beer you bought expecting to like it. Now, did maybe your expectations play into your perception of the beer?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it does say habanero peppers on the can. I thought, okay, this is either really, really creative or it's a fucking mess. And it turned out to be a fucking mess.
Okay. Fair.
And as I've said, I'm sympathetic to Wellington. They're, they've been at this, old school. So in this business of, I don't know, what do any of you know anything about Sarnia, Ontario? Because that's where these guys are from. I'm scared that if I went to Sarnia, it'd be like going to Red Deer, where everybody's either a hick or a total nut bar. You know what I mean?
Right.
Viewers from Sarnia are not included, of course.
Yeah.
All of our Cenarian viewers, yes, of course.
Yeah, we don't care about people in Red Deer. They can suck it up. But
Isn't Red Deer like the souk of Alberta?
Well, no, because the problem with it is that Red Deer, aside from being, half of it's just kind of a hick sort of nowheresville.
Right.
Also really, really, really aggressively eccentric. Like, people from Red Deer will have heard of Throbbing Gristle and probably have, like 4 or 5 albums on vinyl in a back cupboard somewhere. Like, they're into things like NLP and they're into things like obscure Dada relics. Like they'll know who Tristan Zara is. It's that kind of place. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, and I just want to say something to correct Shane a little bit. He said, "Isn't Red Deer the souk of Alberta?" Well, okay, so the souk isn't much a souk anymore. They have traffic lights now.
Yeah.
What?
They invented fire. That I think they've got the wheel. Yeah, they're right on the cutting edge here.
They no longer just have the wheel; they've got traffic congestion.
That's right. Yeah, I think they're almost done with the feudal system there.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm sorry. I'm calling it right here. Jordan River, we're coming for you. Because Port Renfrew is too far away still. So, By the way, speaking of Port Renfrew, I have to just mention this really quickly. I was talking to some people on a video call the other day, and somebody brought up condiments and camping. And I said, I remember being at a camping trip once where a really good friend of mine just kind of sat back in a chair and said, let me get this right. we're all out here camping, and we have hot dogs and hot dog buns and no condiments of any kind. Lock Fulton, Fairy Lake, British Columbia, 1990, whatever the hell it was.
I recall that.
That was my favorite line. I've remembered that ever since. But anyway, Alan, what are you drinking tonight?
Okay, so I am drinking
Get a glass?
another Superflux beer.
Oh, a Superflux beer.
Yeah, so this is called Happiness. This is the can right here.
I know that well. It has brought me much happiness.
Yes, it is an IPA. Now they make a lot of IPA. Is that all they make? Is just IPAs?
No, they don't, but they're very good at it.
They're very good at it.
So there's a bunch of different IPAs that they make that are really.
So
really
this
good.
one here is
but everything like. Oh yeah.
This one here is 6.5%.
Nice.
I'm just looking for an IBU rating. I believe it's on here.
Holy crap!
Well, maybe it's not. I guess it isn't. Anyway, it is really good. So it's got that kind of like that bitterness that you get from an IPA. It's really good. It almost, I don't mean this in a bad way. This is going to sound bad, but it almost tastes like you're sniffing somebody's armpit.
But in a good way.
But in a good way, it's like
like those people that have to smell armpits as their job.
Sure.
Okay, so maybe what we're saying is that it's a little bit like sniffing, say, Maisie Williams' armpit.
Sure. I don't know who that is, but yeah.
We've now
the
achieved
best
dirty old
armpit
man.
that you can possibly imagine.
Whoa, careful.
That's the armpit that it smells and tastes like.
Careful.
Really, really good. I would love to find an IBU rating on this. Shane, could you look up Happiness Superflux and see if you can
Happiness
find...
Superflux. One moment, please.
And I believe it is spelled happiness with a Y. Yes.
The Happiness IPA is a beer created in 2017 by the Superflux Beer Company. And it has an IBU rating of
I'm going to guess 45.
It's
45.
totally not here.
It's not there.
Hang on. Let me do a bit more digging here. There must be a review where somebody has identified this information. Color and shape. Easy Tiger Pale. That's all they have available right now? No, they're totally out of stock. Holy crap. A brewery without beer. That's terrible. Let me look at this at the BC Ale Trail. Nope, does not look like it is.
Okay. Well, I'm going to guess. I'm going to guess about 45 IBUs. Okay. Really tasty. If you can find it, get it. It seemed to have a lot of them here in Victoria, but I don't know about Vancouver.
Usually it's around town. Like if you go to the liquor store and locally, you'll find something by them, but it's really hit and miss about what specifically that is because it's so popular, man. It just goes and they actually have their own location now, which is great because it started in Callister Brewing for a while, like when he first started getting going. But it's these recipes though from the very brief conversation we had with one of the guys that does it. It's like timed, like there's like this amount of hops at this time for this long. We drain it, then we do it again with another one. Like it's a very meticulous. Like I would never ever want to spend that amount of time making beer, but the results kind of speak for themselves. So yeah,
they
I'm
do.
very impressed.
They do.
Yeah,
they really do.
I have not had a bad beer from them, and I actually when I was at the beer store the other day, I almost got the one that you have. because there was color and shape and the happiness were there, but I'd already picked 4. So
Do they do their brewing? Present.
their own location, which I think is not too far from here. Let me tell you exactly where. It's right by the it's not too, you know where that Pink Palace of Ice Cream Dome is.
Oh my God, yes. Yeah.
It's sort of down, it's on Clark, sort of in that, sort of right by that sort of end. It's I would say it's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 blocks from Strange Fellows on Clark.
Yeah, okay.
But the Pink Palace is sort of just right in behind there.
Oh,
so
nice.
yeah, it's and they haven't been there that long. Like it's been fairly recent. Like I would say last summer.
They started, like, they kicked things off as gypsy brews, didn't they? Like they were using other people's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They started out using Callister Brewing's facilities, where they rented out some tanks and canned on the street. Like there was a truck, and probably still is, that drove around that had a mobile canning thing in it.
So now this is the second beer from Superflux I've had. The first one was Vodachrome, which I actually said is the best beer I have ever had in my life, which was a double IPA. I would take that one over this, but I mean, pick your poison, right?
Well, exactly. I mean, that's the reality, right?
Yeah.
So overall,
Superflux is on another level.
Yeah, that's basically what a good way to describe them, because they are well versed in their craft. They have honed it to a point where even a lot of other breweries, though, their focus is primarily on making beer for the masses. They make, recipes that are great. They ship them out the door. They experiment a little bit, but they always have like their stable of beers that sell regularly.
Yeah.
Whereas Superflux, with their new, here's the thing, COVID happened, and so going to their location is kind of an impossibility, right? So what exactly they've got going on, they have a little tasting room that has been closed forever. So actually 11:59 tonight, the mask mandate is done. The all the restrictions are done, primarily for most of them. They still want people to wear masks until you've had your second dose. But ultimately, we're doing well enough now that it's time to go, get back to normal.
Yesterday, there was only 24 new cases for the whole province.
Yeah.
So everything's cool as long as you don't catch fire.
Exactly. Exactly. Which brings up my beer. My beer, of course, is something I picked last week from Twin Sails Brewing. It is, it's really bright, but it's called the Bachelor Pad Double IPA, rocking in at about 8.3% alcohol by volume, with an IBU rating of 40, apparently. That seems a little low to me, but anyway. But the Twin Sails, of course, is out in Port Coquitlam, and this beer just struck me because of the double IPA. Has a great aromatic attack on your nostrils, and that is good. Show's over. Good night, everybody. No, that's a really good beer. It's a little high on one of the hops. I don't know which one, but it's got a really strong sort of punch right at the beginning. It tapers off very nicely, and I'm enjoying it.
Good.
Dave, let's jump into you now. What beer are you drinking tonight?
I'm drinking a sugar beer.
Oh,
Mexican cola. Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
I was reading, there's a thing apparently to do with Mexico and Coca-Cola. And some reporters have actually delved into this story because there's this thing where Mexican Coca-Cola is the better one to get because it has a different sugar usage or whatever. and they discovered it's all a marketing scam by Coca-Cola. So there you go. If
Oh
you've
my
heard
God,
this
there's a
story
shock.
before,
I would have thought that the lead there was that it still got cocaine in it, but
no, it has to all do with cane sugar, fructose sugar, whatever sugar.
what was that, cocaine?
But yeah. So if you actually go to Mexico and buy it, there's at least a key of cocaine in each bottle. So
Yeah,
you just got to drink it down and then distill it out your butt somehow, in order to get the full. What is the key? What is actually? I'm actually kind of curious. Price of kilogram of cocaine.
Oh, now
Canada,
you're gonna get the
2021.
RCMP showing up at your door.
Trusted informer. Thank you. Pricing factors worldwide. Countries with the cheapest cocaine. In these countries, a gram of cocaine costs between $3.50 to $4.50. Production, blah, 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 blah. So do the math on how much a key costs. But actually, have you ever seen there's a documentary thing on Netflix called Cocaine Cowboys? And then there's a sequel of this thing. It's basically these reporters from BBC or wherever they're from, that are following around people that actually make the cocaine in the jungle. And after watching that, I think it should be like an educational video to anybody who's addicted to cocaine, because first they like soak it in kerosene and diesel and like in order to extract the coca from the leaves, and then like acids, like all kind, like it's a horrible process. Like I don't, why would you ingest after watching that? It'd be like, I never wanted to ever ingest it before, and now I definitely don't want to ingest it ever because
I've been put off getting involved with that stuff when I learned that in North America, when it actually goes from where it's from to getting to here, they cut it with baby laxative.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing too, to stretch out to get more money, of course, and they cut it with all kinds of things. I mean, fentanyl has been the latest in that sort of realm, but yeah,
Cutting coke with fentanyl.
Why would you do that?
Because people are, I don't know.
I don't think
know.
fentanyl's any cheaper than coke. I could be wrong, but
no, they're cutting it with all kinds of things apparently, according to the Vancouver, the VBD people. Anyway,
crazy.
So what's the big story on the week of the week? British Columbia melted down. In my particular suite here, it climbed. If we did not have our air conditioning unit running, it probably would have been in the high 30s, if not into the 40s. Really, and probably Sunday I think was the worst. Yesterday sucked, but Sunday was definitely really up there. Because it was a bacon factory in here. Like there was just
it was a heat dome.
Yeah,
a heat dome. Like it's like nature put a pot lid over us.
Exactly, and so and now it's moved on to Alberta, where Alberta can have its share, and then apparently it's already into Saskatchewan now. So, Godspeed to the heat dome to dissipate, please. Unless, hey, maybe it's headed for Toronto. It's coming for you, man.
So, how many of you have air conditioning?
Well, Alan does. Yeah,
Alan has air conditioning.
Alan's got the real deal. No, I got zilch, man. We got fans.
Fans.
You should actually. You know what? You should actually after this experience, you should actually get your landlord to invest in one, because it wouldn't be hard to do in a house. I can't do a proper aircon system here because you can't hang the unit, because there's the actual pump is outside. Yeah. And has a fan and the whole thing, but we can't hang them outside of our building. If we had patios,
due to the rules, or what?
Do you have like a roller one where you just put the hose next to it?
Exactly, yeah. So, which is it cuts the heat down. But after this experience, I've been thinking. I'm seriously thinking that in a couple of weeks, maybe a month, buying another one and putting it in our loft, and actually putting a vent like add it into connect it to the vent for a bathroom fan,
Oh,
and then vent it that way, so that it's at the back of the room or at the back of the suite, near the hallway. Because when if like at the hottest it was, the aircon was running and it made the main room bearable. But you walked past where our computer, like we shut our computers off, I think on Monday, for a little while, because it was so hot in this particular locale. I did not want to risk like
yeah.
doing
Frying
significant
anything,
damage.
yeah.
So we shut them down for a while, and luckily I have my little fan. I just kept the fan running and whatnot. But I did actually buy. I bought, and they aren't here yet, but I bought some 20-inch fans so that I can actually have a couple of those running.
Yeah.
But I think ultimately another air conditioning unit on this end of the suite would actually benefit, because the air just does not travel, and it's kind of like in this end of the suite, the doors are sealed relatively well. So if you say put your butt up against the door and farted really horribly, it would stay in this particular section because it would not move. And
That
so
would happen at your place.
exactly, that would never happen here. But yeah, I mean it would just be horrible. So because when it's not like that hot, if I have the fan pointed up at the ceiling, so it's pushing air that way, you can kind of get a bit of a flow of air going, and it's okay. But not when it was hitting 45 degrees outside. And that became a lot of people in our building went out, got hotel rooms, and
wow.
some people actually went to their in-laws place to, because they have aircon and so in homes that way. So that's what they did, and I don't blame them, because it was unbearable. And some people went camping, some people just left the city. They're like, I'm out, I can't handle this. I'm going somewhere where there's shade and trees and just being in the city, you've got all this asphalt that just bakes for a long time. And
Yeah.
and I heard that in some places in Vancouver, the streets were they were so soft, they were starting to buckle. And so but it was like what, 4 days, 3 days, 4 days long. It was.
Well, I would say
When did it start? I can't remember. Was it
so.
Friday?
I think it started last Friday and went through to, I guess you could consider yesterday. But the worst of it was Sunday, Monday.
Yeah.
So Sunday, my kid had a baseball game scheduled, and I'm a coach. They moved the start of the game back by half. It was supposed to start at 10 in the morning. They moved it back to 9:30 so that we could try to get done before it got really hot. And I wear a Fitbit that tracks my heart rate and stuff.
Right.
And so we're about an hour into the game, and suddenly my Fitbit started going bzz, and I pressed the button to see what it was trying to tell me. It said, "Congratulations, you've just done 150 zone minutes." And I'm a coach. I stand there, and it's trying to tell me that I've just done something like 75 minutes of extreme exercise. It's telling me that I burned in that hour. I had burned something like 1,600 calories, and my heart rate went above 156.
So help me understand this. When you heat up, does that cause your heart rate to increase?
If you start getting heat exhaustion and then heat stroke, yes, your heart rate will elevate substantially. So this is what happened to me after an hour. Before I noticed my heart rate, I started to feel nauseous, lightheaded. I wasn't necessarily sweating. I actually didn't feel like it was hot out, but I wasn't exactly uncomfortable or anything. But I had all the signs of heat exhaustion after an hour, and this is at 10:30 in the morning.
Oh my God, man, that is just.
I was done for the day.
Brutal.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
Then Monday, when I left work, of course, my work is air conditioned. So I go out the door and it's like it hits me like a wall. And there's a strong breeze, but it's a hot breeze, right? It's just heat. And I walked to my car, which took me maybe 45 seconds to a minute. And when I got to my car, I had to adjust my glasses and I touched my metal frames. They were hot to the touch. Like I actually had to,
Ah,
Yeah.
God, that's that's oh God, that's horrible.
Yeah. Brutal. And then when I got in the car, the temperature gauge in the car, like I have a thermometer outside, said 41. 41 lock.
The only time I ever want to hear 41 as a temperature is when it's below.
Yeah.
Well, I probably would have complained about that too.
40 below is fine by me. I guess if it's Fahrenheit, that might be worse, but
Yes. What? If there's any Americans watching here, 41 translates to something like 107 degrees Fahrenheit or something.
Yeah, roughly that. And especially when you're seeing like, it doesn't get that humid. We get humidity, but not that, not
No.
East Coast, Toronto.
yeah,
We're
Toronto.
on the water. We're supposed to be getting like a cool ocean breeze all the time.
Exactly. But we jumped from like, the usual of like 20% humidity to like 60 or 70. And that's where it really, I mean, the first time I ever experienced that was in Mexico during August. And we're down there. I was there for a month. And I remember being on an air-conditioned bus that was still so hot that, you had the sweat going down your butt, going from the top of your head, going down your back, and you could feel it all the way. And it's like, it's in my butt crack, but, that was the first time I ever felt like I'm sweating a lot because it's so bloody hot. I'm still...
Yesterday in Toronto, it was 80% humidity.
What?
That is brutal.
Yes.
Absolutely brutal.
It was ridiculous is what it was. That's sort of comparable to what I expect going to a steam room on purpose to get steamed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think I do not like going into saunas because I just find them so stuffy. I would have on Monday gone into a sauna for relief.
Yeah.
Actually, that is a really good way to say it because at least you're in this wet environment. But the problem is, because of COVID, all these saunas, all the places that you could normally escape to were just not available. And especially saunas because, it's like, yeah, it's okay, boys. I only got a light touch of the COVID in a room filled with like water droplets that you can see. Yeah, that would have gone over really well.
Yeah.
I love going to the sauna. I my neighbor loves it.
I hate saunas.
He's taken me there a few times, but after we've like worked out and stuff.
Let's be clear.
Yeah.
Saunas and steam rooms. There's dry heat and wet heat.
Yeah, let me be very specific. I'm talking about a steam room.
Yeah.
So I like saunas as well. When I used to work at Oak Bay Rec, we had two saunas. One was like the Nordic sauna, and one was the Wimpy sauna, or whatever the hell it was. But there isn't. Hey, I mean, Alan,
is that
there's
a brand?
No, they're two different temperatures.
Oak Bay Rec, like that is an amenity that makes Victoria stand above and beyond other cities generally. Because if you have that, Oak Bay Rec is an amenity. There isn't anything comparable in Toronto. Where would I go in Toronto? Like, forget COVID for a moment. If I wanted to get pool, gym room, steam room, and Nordic sauna, where would I go? I'd be paying maybe $600 No, probably $1,200 a year at least to
What?
have access to that is my best guess. That, or I would be going to something that's got fucking used needles littering the floor. That's part of why Victoria is so good. It really is good that way.
Yeah, I agree, and the only place I know, I mean, this is the thing, right? Is that I was mentioning earlier that they've closed a bunch of their pools,
Yeah.
because they've aged out. They're like, they were built in like the 50s, renovated in the 70s, and that kind of thing. But they haven't replaced them, and that's a bit of a problem, I think, because the population needs more than just that. I mean, we're not a city of backyard pools. There are some, of course, but not everyone has one, because for the majority of the year, you're paying to maintain a thing you're probably not using that much. I mean, maybe if you had a hot tub, I guess, but it's been it's just one of those weird things where we just need more of that around. And yeah, because right now I can only think of the one steam room that I've used, but maybe there's more. I just don't know. But I don't know. It's kind of like living where Dave lives. Dave lives in the sticks in the middle of nowhere, and he has to walk like 9 miles to get anywhere. So, Dave, explain what kind of amenities you have out there in the bowels of the peninsula.
Yeah, jeez. Well, Skidney, I don't think Skidney's got anything.
Is that what you call it?
No.
Skidney?
No.
I've never heard it. I've actually never heard it called that.
But it's awesome. It's awesome.
It's fitting. It's fitting.
It's, you know what? It's actually totally not, because
No.
your average age there now is probably 75. But
Yeah, for those who don't
anyways.
know, Skidney is Sydney, British Columbia, which is a smallish town,
Yeah, small
um,
town.
in between Victoria and the BC Ferries terminal. I can't think of anything else except for the B. What is up near the BC Ferry terminal? Is there anything there that you could call like?
That's
I
pretty
don't know.
much it,
Like,
man.
Yeah,
I've always sort of presumed that at some point Sydney would become part of the airport, but
Well, it's not far off, man. It just
could
has to
still
hop the
happen.
highway a bit more, and
Yeah.
away it goes.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's
you were
all
saying about
retirees there.
you were saying about Sydney.
Yeah, they've got nothing, right? What we've got on a peninsula, I think, is Perks. Alan, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Perks is it, and I'm not even sure if they have a pool. To be honest, I've never.
No, they don't
been
have a
to
pool.
Perks.
But what about the Panoramic Leisure Center?
Panorama. That's
That's true.
actually
does
is
exist.
that is Saanich, but it's way on the
It's Central Saanich.
Western Central, because it's you're down here in Royal Oak there.
you know
I
what?
think you get there.
It's actually just south of McTavish Road on East Saanich Road.
You know
I'm trying to think I'm trying to think of where the heck you are. Oh, there. Okay, found your house right there. Okay, sorry. Keep going, Alan. Dave or Locke. Dave, Alan, Locke, whoever.
So you know what Sydney did have was an aquarium. Is it still?
That is true. I don't actually know if it's still there anymore.
Good question. I have no idea.
That was a very long time ago.
You know what they
I don't
do
know,
have?
actually, to be honest.
All of 5 years ago, really.
They do have Dole Whip in
Yes,
Sydney.
the Disneyland Dole Whip.
Yes. Well, apparently there is no other. Like, you literally cannot get Dole Whip any other way except to get the machine from Dole. And that's how somehow the owners of Fish on Fifth managed to get a machine into their restaurant.
So let me see if I understand this. A Dole Whip is like
It's
Dole
pineapple ice cream.
Yeah, so the whip is like when they're whipping the Banana Republic pineapple people, and they're whipping them, and they whip them into shape, and then they make the pineapple go into ice cream.
Exactly. And they
Exactly.
had Devo write the theme song,
Nice.
right?
Whip it. Yeah.
So Locke, in this building is contained the aquarium, which is now
Yeah.
called the Salish Sea Aquarium, I think.
Nice.
However, the only reason I bring this up on the screen is I just noticed this next door. Distillers. I don't know what this is, but I'd like to know more.
Yeah.
Beside the aquarium. So there might be a trip we'll have to make to Sydney by the Sea and check out this distillery, which
Yeah.
I gather is called. Let me use the power of Google Maps. Oh, in Sydney, BC, it's called Victoria Distillers. There you go.
Creative.
.com.
Oh, Distillers. Yeah, no. Victoria Gin. Yeah, I've had some of that. It's very good.
Well, then we'll have to go to the aquarium and then go to the distillery and see how long we last.
And get a Dole Whip.
And get a Dole Whip. Yeah, actually, I
Start with a Dole Whip.
the last time I had
I've never had a Dole Whip,
a Dole Whip.
but they look good.
They are good. I went into it thinking, something to try, but it's actually brilliant. Yeah, it's super tasty, and it's in a way it's nicer than ice cream. I can't say that. I retract that statement. But it's
Sorry, is it nicer than ice cream, or is it a type of ice cream? Because if they're putting,
well, I don't know. I think if you want to split technical hairs,
if you're putting
It's not a
pineapple
type
in
of
ice cream, isn't that just ice cream?
well, I don't.
Is it
think
one of
it's-
those? Is it one of those kind of things where you throw like pineapple into a machine and it purees it so much it has the consistency of ice cream, but actually has no ice or cream in it?
I don't know. That could be. I think it's kind of secret proprietary stuff, right? So
Yeah.
I don't know
It
exactly.
might be vegan friendly, Banana Republic unfriendly ice cream is what you're saying.
The you stumbled this discussion about Dole ice cream or whipped cream or whatever you
Dole
want to
Whip.
call it. It's Dole Whip cream or whatever. It's actually a thing that my family has had for eons. Every time we go to Disneyland, so this is Disneyland in Los Angeles,
Okay.
and this
Brought
is
to you by Dole. Right
exactly.
there on the
So
side.
the Walt Disney's Enchanted Tiki Room, which is this large room with like animatronic birds and things. They have a big performance and da. It's been there since the thing really started. But it's always been, at least in my memory, it's always been presented by Dole, because outside, so there's the building right there. So this is where you go inside. The big, the performance is in here. It's in Adventureland. And the but out here in the waiting area is actually where they have that one of those machines, and they're selling the Dole pineapple ice cream. So it's actually more like gelato. When I think about it, it's kind of gelato-esque, right? So, but yeah, and that's we always get one when we're there. So that's just it's been a thing for the last
Well, now
30
you don't
odd
have
years.
to go to Los Angeles to get one anymore. You just have to go to Sydney.
Is it vegan
Exactly.
Is it vegan?
I would. Well, if it is,
And if it is, how many vegans do they put in it?
I would say it probably is, because I don't. Well, actually, no. It might. If some gelatos add things like milk to them, but generally, if it was a gelato, it might have other stuff in it that is not vegan friendly. But if it were a what's gelato and what's the non
Sorbet?
sorbet, yeah,
Sure.
sorbetto. So like that's more that is basically just whatever you put into it and you freeze it, and it's then you eat it. So generally, you might actually run into things where you're not, you could actually make something that would be vegan friendly. Is Dole? Probably not. I remember going to Hawaii many years ago, and we actually went to one of the Dole plantations where they grow the pineapples and all that kind of fun stuff. So I think we probably had some of that there too. Come to think of it, but
Was it right across the street from the fields of Del Monte?
Yeah, well, pretty much. I mean, They basically grow. I mean, here's the thing: the pineapples grow on the ground. They're not like in trees and stuff. So people always have this idea that pineapples are like a tree fruit, and they're not. They grow on the ground, and you. Um, actually, in Mexico a few years ago, we went to a plantation. Actually, I might have photos. Discuss amongst yourselves while I investigate.
So
I hope he doesn't show us naked
I've just searched it.
Okay.
Some Dole Whip is vegan, but not all.
Oh.
Huh.
There are multiple Dole Whip recipes, some of which are vegan.
Interesting. Well,
I'm
at
curious if
any
there's,
rate,
like,
I
a
want to try.
trademarked. It's worth trying, man. Definitely. It's not cheap. Fair warning.
Oh, it's not.
No, it's not cheap. No.
Like, how much are you talking about?
I think their biggest one that you can get is $14.
What?
But you can feed like 4 people off this thing.
What?
So I think
14
that's what it was.
bucks for an ice
I
cream?
take it it's not presented on a cone and 4 people are all.
That's like that's not a cone. That's a bucket thingy.
Oh, a bucket.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, how much for a single serving? Like for a
I
person?
don't know. I think it was like six or something for a single person type.
I suppose if it's a once in a while thing, that ain't bad.
Well, like I said, the $14 you could feed like 4 or 5 people off this thing, right? Like,
True.
you're getting a fair bit. But yeah, it is not cheap stuff, not by a long stretch, but definitely worth it. And actually, I kind of like Sydney. It's such a chill little place, you know. You can
Is that why you call it Skidney?
yeah, exactly. No, I just
I
seriously,
kind of like it, and it sucks equally.
I heard just I can't even remember, just some girl that I knew like in a class or something at school, whatever, one of these random, you know, and just
You know what?
I clearly remember her calling it Skidney. I'm like, that's fucking hilarious.
Well, okay, so yeah, I know somebody who used to call Duncan Drunken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, here's the thing.
And that fits.
You'll call things names based on what's convenient, and if there's a joke to be made and it sounds like it rhymes, then you'll do that. But it's Sydney. Truth is, I like the place. I mean, it's adjacent to the airport, and it's a bedroom community for Victoria. Maybe if anybody there wasn't retired and still worked, or didn't work from home like they've done for the last year and a half. And it's seaside. It is seaside. It is actually genuinely seaside. So there you go. And it's got some big murals on a lot of its buildings.
Yeah.
And you're on the island, so obviously you're better off.
Right.
And it's changing. There's a crane in Sydney. The building they're putting in is such a good size. It's a
Are they going to
freaking
build
crane.
a fucking tower in Sydney?
I don't think it's a tower necessarily. I think they're still, you know, running with their whatever limits, right? Like
Probably 4 stories.
whatever. Yeah, but I swear that some of the like hotels and stuff are more like a 10, you know, 8 to 10. But that's it's still like, wow, it's just like anywhere else, I guess, on the coast here. Basically, it's kind of going a little bit mental, and there's kind of, you know, construction going on. That's just the way it is. But I just like the vibe of Sydney because, like you said, Locke, it's seaside. Which, hey, who's not gonna like seaside, right? And it's just, even though it's busy, it still has kind of a more chill, laid back flavor, which I like. And you can just kind of amble around town easily. It's small enough that you can just amble around and get around and check it out without having to contend with, you know, bumper to bumper traffic for an hour to get somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So
It's true.
it's
It's a great place to pick up chicks if you're,
if that's your if that's your age bracket.
Speaking of picking up chicks, Bill Cosby got out of jail today.
He did.
I gather he's spent. I mean, time flies, but he's been in jail for like 2 years now. But he got out because the judge who agreed to prosecute him in the civil case promised something about whether or not he was going to be charged. I've forgotten exactly what it was, but essentially he got out of jail. Judge screwed up. The appeal court was like, hey, you screwed up. You didn't write this down. There was a bunch of stuff they didn't document, which is the problem. And so he got popped out of jail. So,
Well,
I mean, granted,
that doesn't make sense. Why would he be in jail? Why would his jail term be affected by a civil case? That would be criminal law, wouldn't it?
okay, let me find it. Hang on, let me.
But
find
I'm
it.
assuming this is
It all seemed kind of like
California.
backdoor.
And California rules.
Okay, here we go. So, Pennsylvania's highest court overturns his sexual assault conviction. A stunning reversal of fortune. Blah 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 blah. Served 2 years of a 3 to 10 year sentence after being found guilty of drugging and violating Temple University. Blah blah blah. A bunch of people. The Pennsylvania court said the district attorney Kevin Steele, who made the decision to arrest Cosby, was obligated to stand by his predecessor's promise not to charge him. There was no evidence that the promise was ever put into writing. 4 state Supreme Court justices ruled in Cosby's favor, while 3 others dissented in whole or in part. Cosby had relied on the 4 prosecutors' decision not to charge him when the comedian later gave his potentially incriminating testimony in the civil case. So basically, the court has now said that overturning the conviction and barring any further prosecution is the only remedy that comports with society's reasonable expectations of its elected prosecutors and our criminal justice system. He was promptly set free from state prison in suburban Montgomery County and returned to his home. Yada, yada, yada. So,
And right there is why people have no faith in the judicial system.
Yeah, but that's not about judicial stuff. That's about
It sounds like there were some backdoor
pudding
dealings.
pudding pops.
Well, the pudding pops, but the reality is that having 3 Supreme Court justices actually dissent from it is actually telling. So if one more had dissented, then he would have not been popped out of jail.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to Ruth Bader Ginsburg and anybody else that actually exhibited some modicum of merit on that court. But the simple fact of the matter is, judges in the United States fail upwards, and if you're on the Supreme Court, it's a sign that you're one of the ones that make bullshit up faster than the fucking lawyers running the. So, yeah, I
Wow. I am totally reminded of an episode of Farscape because I kind of been rewatching it. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this show. Shane, I'm pretty sure you have, but
My favorite episode is in the first season called IET, I think, where the big guy, whose name escapes me, basically lands on a farm in like something resembling Earth. It's not Earth, but it's basically he's like ET on a farm, and it's kind of adorable. But anyway,
yeah.
one of the better sci-fi shows out there, I have to admit.
Yeah, but this episode I'm thinking of is actually, it's a little ham-handed if you ask me, but it takes place on a planet where lawyers and law have essentially, I don't know what the right term is, but you know what I'm talking about, Shane. They've
all
like
become Judge
lawyers
Dredd.
are, yeah, like I believe 80% of the population of this planet is lawyers. And
Yeah, I
so,
remember this episode.
yeah. It's just kind of an interesting little meditation on,
I'm the law. Actually, sorry, wait, I did that wrong. I'm the law. By the way, if you guys have not seen the more recent Judge Dredd film that has the guy from Lord of the Rings and a bunch of the Marvel movies in it.
Not the Stallone one.
No, not the Stallone one. The one with whatever the hell that actor's name is. It's amazing. It's got like it has everything that a Judge Dredd film should have been. I wish it had done better in the box office, but Stallone's stink was still lingering, so I think it didn't do as well as it could have. But yeah, it's a great film for that genre of comic. Like it's hands down. If you haven't seen it, check it out. You won't regret it. I don't know why I got thinking about Judge Dredd. There you go.
Before
what else?
we wrap,
What else has happened?
tonight,
Yeah, continue. Yeah.
I wanted to show you guys something because it is beer related. So my son, my middle son, he graduated from high school last week, and his employer gave him a gift basket of stuff as a congratulation. And one of the things that was in it is this. It is
a large dildo.
It is a craft beer lollipop. Pale ale flavored, apparently non-alcoholic. But this is it. It's in the shape of a bottle. It looks like beer. I don't know what it tastes like. I think it probably. I'm going to imagine it tastes like ass.
Is it in the shape of a bottle?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
It's made.
So this is one of the kids that's not currently around. You can get him to try it out and tell us.
Yeah, I'll get him to try it out, and I'll see if I can try a little bit of it when he opens it, and then I'll report back to you guys.
As long as that's not weird.
No, I don't think it's weird.
Yeah.
I'll put my
So
tongue
here
on
you
the-
go.
Yeah.
Is that it there?
Yes.
So it's made by a company called Melville Candy. I don't know much about them. Where are they located? Contact us. That doesn't help at all. So I don't know where they are. About us?
They're in Port Coquitlam, I think. Or no, it's imported. This one was imported by
Randolph, Massachusetts.
by Jimmy Z's distributors in Port Coquitlam.
Jimmy Z's. Do you guys remember?
Jimmy Z, Johnny Z's. Oh hell yeah!
Yes, I remember Johnny Z's. But this is Jimmy Z's. That must be Johnny Z's brother.
Jimmy Z's his cousin. But yeah, there you go. That actually, I kind of want to try them now. They're hard candies, so and they're $29.99.
Wow.
Oh, that's a 12-pack. Okay, sorry. I just realized
12-pack.
12. Yeah, okay. Good lord. I was like, what the hell? What does it taste like? It tastes like sugar. But yeah, I mean,
I'm curious to see if this actually tastes like a pale ale.
well, you'll have to try it out or just take it and be like, hey, I let you live past the age of 4, so I get to have this. I always tell my sister that anyway. I let you live past the age of 4. I had something else I totally blanked on what I was going to say. So never mind. Ignore me. So here's hopefully just a shout out to the to people in Lytton right now who've had to leave their homes, and
Oh yes.
from all I can tell from all the reports I've read so far, the city's burning down. So that's horrible.
Yikes.
Canada Day tomorrow. Any plans? Are you going to be celebrating at all? Are you going to be raising
I
a?
hope to be watching some fireworks at some point. I don't know what Toronto has planned, and I don't know how it's going to pull it off.
Well, due to COVID in Vancouver, they're not doing anything fireworks related because they don't want people to gather. Even though, I mean, but this decision was made before today's announcement. Um, However, it is also a Canada Day where another 182 unmarked graves have been found on a Catholic uh, residential school site in I've forgotten where.
Cranbrook, I think.
Cranbrook, yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are saying that we shouldn't be celebrating Canada Day. Um, I am not in agreement, but I'm also not in the mood either.
Look,
Because
here's the thing. A lot of people find that these disclosures, these findings, these discoveries, very disturbing. My mother was one of the caseworkers back in the 1970s that was sent around to these places, and she was one of the voices that got these places shut down. I grew up with firsthand accounts of what went on in these places, and I hate to have to say this, but it tracks. And what's disturbing to me isn't that that I mean, of course, it's disturbing. Children died. Children have been dying for thousands of years, so that's not new. What upsets me is that most Canadians don't know about this.
Yeah.
no, I mean that is true.
This is honestly shocking to them because frankly, nobody wants to know. They want to look the other way, and in some ways, if there's anything that's good that's come from this, it's that people actually see what all of that was. The people of this country, the indigenous people, were treated pretty fucking badly. Now, that said, you look worldwide. What does treated badly mean? Well, are the kids being killed right now on purpose, like not from neglect or corruption or greed or indifference, which I think is sort of what the Catholic Church is being accused of. Killed on purpose, and I think as bad as this is, what this is a call to change that, to do something about it, right?
The thing I read today is basically every single major church in Canada has apologized over the last however many years, but the Catholic Church hasn't.
Yeah.
And however, the Pope apparently said today that there is a plan for the Pope to come to Canada sometime either later this year or early next year, and actually apologize in person. So to the Indigenous peoples of Canada. So
In the meanwhile, people are burning churches all over BC right now. Yeah.
well, I mean that's the other thing too, and I had a conversation with my other half about this today, and her being Catholic doesn't like the idea of churches being burned down. I, however, say that they shouldn't burn down churches because that's not cool in any way, shape, or form.
We don't want to take on.
But at the same time, sorry.
We don't want to make another Northern Ireland here.
Well, I mean, the thing is that I also empathize and can understand why somebody would get angry enough to do that.
Yeah.
And at some level, you kind of want to say, well, you shouldn't have done it, but at the same time, I kind of understand why. And
but what was done exactly? Like my understanding from firsthand accounts from someone that was actually witnessed this stuff when it was in action was that mostly it could be it tracks with greed, corruption, indifference, and malnutrition for the fucking children. That's what tracks. Now, I haven't heard one whiff of anybody actually determining forensically what the hell actually happened in any of these cases.
I think that's still to come. It's preliminary at this point. All they have is like, I guess it's like what, sonographic images in the ground. They don't know how long these graves have been there.
We're actually sure what time period we're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Or it could be a range. I mean, we don't know. We just know they're there.
Yeah.
That's it. And I think there's going to be a lot more, if I'm honest. I think we've just scratched the surface.
Again, this tracks with what I understood to be the case. I expected. It's very bad, and I'm sorry that this is only coming to light, in an environment where everybody's already pretty stressed out. But the simple fact of the matter is, this is indeed my fundamental view on this is the Indian Act is a piece of shit. But can we just get rid of it? If you go and talk to Indigenous communities around Canada, not all of them want to get rid of it, and because some of them come to rely upon the stability of that legislation in order to go about what they do, right? So anything that changes is going to have to happen gradually with buffers on either side of it. Well, maybe not in the past. Too late for a buffer there, but buffers so that the people that are affected by new legislation are given ample opportunity to adjust to it, and so that it's not a fucking shit show. Because so far it's been a fucking shit show.
Mm-hmm. Oh, exactly, and this is the thing, is that there are no easy answers. It's such a complex situation that's been happening for a very long time, and as you said, this is not the first. This is not going to be the last.
And there isn't going to be a quick fix. And I think that's the problem.
No,
people want a quick fix. They want this done now, and it's not going to be done now. It's been 500 years in the making. It's probably going to be another 500 years before this thing can be fixed.
I would agree, because I was mentioning earlier today to somebody when I first was reading about this new find of the 83 new unmarked graves, that will probably us four here will probably be long dust until before this is settled. So who knows what the future holds, but it needs to come to light, and I'm glad it has. And I really think our country needs to rethink how we talk about our history, and not just talk about it, but also educate the next generations coming up to actually say, great country did some really shitty things, and we have to make amends for that. And it's going to take a while to do that. So but the education thing should be easier to do, I would think.
No, nothing happens easily.
Nothing's easy.
Yeah.
You don't just abandon the status quo like that without somebody putting up a fight.
No, that is true. That is true. That there's going to be those who are going to be dicks about it. Because
like the simple fact of the matter is just from a logistical perspective, like.
Well, yeah, that too. This is what I mean. Like, it's not a simple situation anymore, right?
There's communities in Canada that rely on the Indian Act, which we all regard as a piece of shit, but they rely on it in day-to-day terms. If you don't solve that problem, then you get rid of the Indian Act like that. What happens to those people, right? And you can This is the beginning of what will be a negotiation, and hopefully one that actually not only repairs damage, makes us all stronger.
Yeah.
because you know, we're all in this together, really.
Good closing off words there, Locke.
Yeah. And we'll leave it at that because that is a tense topic that needs to be discussed in more detail for hours and hours with more beers. So thank you for coming. Thank you for checking us out. Make sure you follow us, all that kind of fun stuff. We are available online. You can also check out our YouTube channel and talk to us on Twitter because, you know, we don't get enough of that. But as always, Alan, take us out.